Welcome to Nightlight. Step away from the mainstream and gather around as we enlighten the world and our realities and travel this cosmic journey we call life. Join us as we share with you and provide that beacon that can guide us all to a better way. Explore with us as we examine a metaphysical montage of spiritual insights, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between. This is a time of awakening, of sharing and evolving, of spreading our wings and soaring on the cosmic breath of creation. Come and join with other light-minded spirits as we weave our lights together to seek understanding, enlightenment, and, with a little luck, some wisdom. This is Nightlight, a reminder that you are never alone.
Welcome, everybody, to Neon Twilight on Nightlight Radio with your host, Solaris BlueRaven. Solaris is well known all over the place. She has shows on different stations, and she has taken her wisdom and her knowledge and put it not only out there on the airwaves, but certainly into books, of which she's written 8 or 9. And she is someone who is constantly growing, constantly evolving, constantly bringing new insights into our reality and sharing them with us in a plethora of different ways. So it's an amazing experience to watch her grow and evolve, and it's an honor that she shares her wisdom and her knowledge with the Nightlight folks. So welcome to the show, Solaris. I'm glad you could be with us tonight, since we've tried a couple of times to get on the air, and we've had issues with the technology. So I'm going.
Well, thank you for having me, Barbara.
Oh, listen, it's just, from the very first time I heard you, and that had to be back in 2009, 2010, in there someplace. I kept saying I really would love to have her on the show. I really would like to have her be a part of the show. And I guess it's been 3 years now, 2 or 3 years, that Neon Twilight has been unbooked on Nightlight. And it's such fun to always sit down and talk with you, because while we know where we're going to start, we have no idea where we're going to end up, which is such a delightful way to have a conversation. It's not one of those it's not one of those shows where you have to cram to find information and wonder what next you have to lead the person you're talking to into, because we seem to have a great deal of synchronicity as far as thoughts and interests and things like that.
Right.
But tonight, tonight I really. It was funny. I was looking at your Amazon link, and it was like, holy mackerel, she's written 8 or 10 books, and some of them are even in different languages. And I had no idea there were so many. I mean, I've read half of them, and I have stolen shamelessly from the first book constantly.
Thank you.
I even did a whole workshop on your first book. Though
I love it. I'm honored.
I mean, I didn't tell them it came from your book. I just shamelessly taught the whole book. But
hey, you're a teacher. That's what you do.
But that brings me around, though, to, and I do want to kind of go into each of these books some, but first of all, just before we started the show, it's fascinating to find out why someone writes a book. And
Mm-hmm.
it's most normally it's not because of royalties, because they're non-existent. So what
Right.
is it that pushes a person to sit down and put their thoughts or their wishes or their whatever? What is it that makes you write a book?
Yeah, that's a really good question. For my first book, I think it was just that I had a lot of information in my head, and I had learned so much on a spiritual level that I wanted to put it in some kind of a format. So I decided to write a little book, and it was just a teeny tiny book, Transmutation through Ascension. But it came out really well. I was very pleased with it. But that was the main reason. I just wanted to write a book and put all my data in this book and self-publish it and just have this beautiful little book on Ascension. And that's what I did. And then after that, of course, it went into a whole different orbit with technology and all the things that I went through that I was compelled. I was more than driven to write about, because I wanted to make sure I had the truth out. And the only way to do that sometimes is to write it down in a book and have it published yourself. So that's another reason I started the whole series of Eye of the Remote and kept going and going and going. And then I started evolving and moving with different imagery and different the way I learned to decode the tech. I started writing other books on cosmic intelligence, and alien intelligence came out, and the other books on time travel. All this stuff just morphed because I was interfacing with technology, and that was my way to interpolate what I had experienced. So yeah, it's amazing. But I think most people are creative. You have so much in your psyche, in your head, and your energy. To me, it seems appropriate to share that and put it down on paper so that people can read it down the road. I mean, you never know who's going to need that book at some point,
Well, yeah, and I think that I know that with Mark Eddy, he noticed that there was a portion of archaeological history that had not been written about West Virginia, and before he knew what was going on, he was writing a book, and apparently it's turned into 4 books now. So it wasn't,
nice.
It wasn't that he wanted the money and stuff like that, though that'll be lovely if he gets money. I'm not downplaying that, but the element of what is it of the creative juices, I wonder if it's your writing is an easy outlet for you, or is it a different creative process? Because I know when I write, it's a different creative process than when I'm, doing a reading for somebody or something like that. So is it a different channel you tune to?
Well, for me, yeah, I have it all in my head, so it's just like streaming data. A lot of the time, I wouldn't call it channeling, because it's my real-time information and decoding. It's just the way my brain works, especially after where I've been. And so I just kind of, would write some titles down of what I wanted to write about, and then I would start writing about what I know about that title, what I understand about it, and then that's how I work insofar as writing my material. So it's not something that I really think about. It's there, it's in my head, and I just want to make sure I can translate the data properly. That's how I work.
Mark wants to know if he can retire on his royalties. No, Mark. You better keep your job with Light.
Hey, Mark, I want to say hi. I want to interview you when your books are out.
Oh, yeah. If you understand them. He sent me a couple of PDFs, and I have to admit, he's talking about stuff that's way beyond me, archaeologically speaking, as far as flora and fauna and imprints in stone and stuff like that.
Well, that's cool.
So I kind of that's a question I have not really asked any of the other authors that I have interviewed, and I'm going to start asking it, because
you should.
It's almost as though when I did the deck of cards, I was driven to. I was driven to paint them. I wasn't driven to write the handbook, but I was driven to paint the cards. And once they were painted, I didn't really think about publishing them. Knew that it was, there was a compulsion there, and then they got printed, and then it was like, well, maybe I have to promote them, but it wasn't until 30 years later that I was compelled and I was pushed to write the handbook that went with them. So it was a matter of almost an addiction type feeling that I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. And like you, I have written down titles that I really want to write the book for. And you know, some of the titles have been with me for a very, very long time. One of them is When the Marbles Start to Roll, and it deals with people who are going through dementia, because my mother went through dementia, and every now and then I would hand her a couple of marbles, and she'd say, "What are these for?" And I said, "These are your marbles. They've been rolling across the floor. I thought you'd like them back." And, you know, it would be she'd had a mini stroke or something and lost words, or, you know, and there were really very lovely chuckle-type stories about some of the situations you go through. Not all of it is fun, of course, but you know, when the marbles start to roll, you know, it was. I thought it was a cool thing, and then I thought, well, people don't want me to make fun of this, but the reality is, if you can't laugh, laughter is the thing that gets you through. So,
being more lighthearted,
And then the other one was The Seasons of My Soul. I thought that would be a great
and I love that
title.
Well, that's what I mean. You mentioned that too, and I like it. I think you should definitely get that rolling. So that's something to look at.
Well, no, the next book to be written is What If.
Okay. Well, you have a mission then. You have quite a few. You and Mark is just. I told Mark I definitely want to interview him. I know you will too. But he says it's promoting his area from millions of years ago. Yeah, Mark, that's fabulous. That's incredible. That's something we don't know about, and I'd like to learn more. So yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
let's go into your books, because your books, in a way, do in many ways talk of your journey through spiritual evolution, enlightenment, ascension, whatever you want to call it. And the first one is Transmutation Through Ascension, which is a fabulous, fabulous book.
Well, thank you. My first book ever. So I think I did okay.
Well, and so it's the story of, or a handbook for
ascension, for spirituality, spiritual. Oh, go ahead. Well, it's for spiritual path working. So when I started to write that book, I wanted to correlate what the ascension process was for me, insofar as how I perceive ascension codes and how I work with the energies of ascension. So I gave a lot of information in there in association with what ascension is, or my interpolation. There's other information in connection. I think I even had a little crystal area on there. A lot of different things in connection to spiritual path working, clearing your house, little things like cleansing your residence, and, you know, paying attention to spirits or energy in the house or vortexes. I mean, I can't look for the pages right now, but it's that kind of a thing where it cues people insofar as their environment and what's in their environment, energetically speaking, and interpolates it that way versus just a regular day where people are just in the linear realm.
Yeah, I think it's a great book in that it gives people steps to look at things within their reality in a different way. So it does wake them up to the fact that a lot of things are going on all the time that are there and available for you to draw upon, and it gives them an idea as to how to look for them and how to work with them when you find them. It made for a very great 10-day workshop.
Well, thank you. Cool. I'm glad. How did they like it?
Well, it was so good. I repeat. Oh yeah, no, it was so good. I repeated it a number of times. So it was.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Barbara.
Oh no, it was a great experience. And then you wrote Eye of the Remote, Black Operations in the Areas Beyond 52. So was that about your personal experiences?
Right. That was about the induction I went through in 2004 after. So basically, I had published Transmutation Through Ascension. And it's weird because I had published that book, and then within a few months, I was inducted into that project, that Covert Technology. So the book, Eye of the Remote, Black Operations in Areas Beyond 52, covered where I had been and what had happened to me. And it's a hard book to read. I don't know if you read it, but it's not an easy read because it was a lot of pain. There was a lot of things going on with aerial warfare and mind control and a lot of other things that weren't necessarily positive, but I felt like I was more than driven to write that book to decode everything in my eyes and communicate what I was experiencing through that whole thing, which was a lot of duress, a lot of torture, and a lot of unnecessary things that happened with the text. So, yeah, it was a painful thing to write, but I was glad I wrote it, and that was published in 2008. And honestly, it wasn't really popular. That book was like people who had been through weird events, like maybe even MK Ultra or Monarch projects, would come out and they would actually reach out to me and it really confirmed some things in the sense of, wow, I can relate to this. But most people really don't want to go there. They don't want to read books like that. But I felt compelled to get it out there and just have it as a benchmark for me. So that's where that one comes from.
I think also, it's good you say it that way because, ascension and everything is not always that difficult or painful. However, there are programs out there that will put you through this kind of material. So, I think it's also a good idea to be aware that they're out there and that you want to make sure that you don't slide into one by accident.
Oh, yeah. Well, the technology at that time, was really cloaked and hidden, but it was being used. And nowadays, I think they're really kind of putting the brakes on a lot of stuff, which is good. I think partially maybe for me or others, but it's nice to see that things have changed with that tech because back in the day, nobody really knew about it, but it was there. And if people were to get interconnected with a tech like that, it would literally make them look insane or schizophrenic or bipolar or all kinds of possession. I mean, all these things that you could look at from a distance and think that there's something wrong with this person, they're mentally ill, when in fact they're being interconnected with a project that's covert. That to me is a huge deal. And that's why I exposed it because they can't get away with this kind of stuff. That's not okay. So,
now, is this the same kind of stuff that the Montauk Project and Project Pegasus were connected?
Very similar.
Okay.
Well, in my opinion, they're similar. I've talked to people. Yeah, I've talked to CIA people who were connected to the projects who were. The synthetic telepathy interface I've been through is a different organization in the sense of the people that extracted me into the program, the way they used it with me with remote viewing and machine interface and some other things that were going on. So it was a little bit different. And, of course, being extracted out of my house and then being on Maui to be programmed was another scenario, too. I didn't go to a laboratory somewhere. I didn't have to go to, one of their areas. I literally was being interconnected live in real time and kind of cloaked, hidden in plain sight, working with these things. So, yeah, it was a real interesting experience. And I got to the point where I just became very good at it, but it was also going through trauma at the same time. You don't realize how much trauma you're going through because you just say, oh, I can do it. I could. But I was literally being completely full speed ahead into this project. And, it took years to get that, the brakes kind of changed a little bit.
Oh, geez, yeah.
I can laugh now.
That was 2008, and then your next book was 12. Yeah. So 4 years
but
later.
Mr. Sun and the Halloween Ball was in between. So I had, that was 2010 if I'm not mistaken. So that one came in. After Eye of the Remote, I had to do something that was lighthearted. It was just so heavy that I wrote Mr. Sun and the Halloween Ball. That was lighthearted, the Halloween book I wrote for the children. And that was just nice. I really enjoyed that book, and we had discussed that before. And I still like to put it in an animation of some kind, but that to me was just a beautiful little book and it has a pagan theme to it. So it kind of calibrates people to spirituality and also, not to be scared of circle work or, the word witch or paganism, because some people really have a misperception of that. And there's a lot of good people who do circles of light and work in that area that are very good people. So I wanted to bring that to the attention of people.
Oh, yeah. And, next year, prior to Halloween, we'll get it on the air. It is a delightful book, and it's too bad Jim Henson is no longer with us because, his puppets certainly could have done a magnificent job with it. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, that would be cute.
But then we have Program by Deception, Another Eye of the Remote. It feels,
that was a series too.
Yeah, and that again, it goes into the sort of dark stuff you went through.
It goes through the dark stuff, and also I give an analysis of what's happening globally. So when you look and you see how people are programmed, socially engineered, and how they're really not receiving the correct data and information to conduct their lives properly. That was part of it. Also, the way psychological warfare works. So I cover a lot of those areas. The 2012 was kind of a window of change for everybody, as everybody remembers. And to me, it was important to kind of put that into a new perspective of what frequencies are about and also how everything is encapsulated in the realm on Earth. So that book was a sequel to The Eye of the Remote, and it was I wouldn't say it was a lighter series, but it definitely goes to a different avenue insofar as spirituality and shows you how you can navigate through these dark tides with spiritual eyes. So that to me was a good read.
I think also the fact that, we are programmed, whether we realize it or not, by our credit cards and by the government, and there's programming going on that we don't even recognize. That's on the television and on radio. Although I don't think anybody,
even in childhood. I mean, yeah, it's everywhere. Even indoctrination as a child, and your family environment is a program, and what they teach you. Religious indoctrination, schools, it goes everywhere. So
it's a matter of being alert and trying not to fall into some of those sinkholes that can take you all over the place. It's just amazing.
And also when you're powerful as a psychic or any type of a channel, you are capable of accessing multidimensional states of consciousness, also interconnecting with machines. Okay, we are compatible with machines. I cover this in my books. Whether people want to, I know they get scared of transhumanism, but my point is that's what we're about. We are capable of doing this, and it's not a painful thing. It is, in my opinion, I think that's what our design work was before we showed up here on the timeline on this realm. I think we are definitely connected to sentient machine intelligence, and we carry that blueprint with us while we walk this realm. And what they do is weaponize it here in the dark, what I would call the more covert areas.
Well, yeah, and I think, also when we're looking at books like yours that come out, we're also looking at some of the movies that come out that seem to be trying to tell us what's actually going on. I mean, my best example, the example I love the most is Star Trek, because, when Star Trek came out, the doors that opened and shut for you were magical. And now, now we expect it at the grocery store. And then you go into, the later versions of it where there was the linking with the machine, the Morgue, the Borg.
Yeah.
The Borg.
Oh, the Borg, and, I remember Aliyah, too, the first Star Trek movie, yeah.
Yeah. So that
Beecher.
Yes. So in a way, they're trying to break it into us what's coming. And I hope that that's what it is. It has to be that. It has to be programming us so that we aren't frightened of things. And yet, when you look at what they've done with aliens and stuff like that, they've made us fearful. And again, it's good to be cautious, but not so fearful that you suddenly, alert the military and stuff like that either.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
How do you? I know that it's said the government is working with aliens, though I don't know if they are or not.
Well, you know where I stand with extraterrestrial design. We are the descendants of the visitors, so we are the hybrids. We are the extraterrestrial design and blueprint. When I look at what they do in the underground, from my experience, they reverse engineer technology that can mimic a lot of different things. Psychotronics can create a blueprint connected to an artificial extraterrestrial, but not real-time extraterrestrial. In other words, when you're being interconnected with technology, for example, and they show you a psychotronic blueprint or interaction with something that looks like it's an ET, people will perceive it and say, oh, I had an extraterrestrial experience, when in fact they were being hacked, interconnected with a tech that looks like it, but really wasn't. Usually it's somebody with, a two-legged here in the Black Ops departments. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have extraterrestrials. We are the extraterrestrials. This is why we're capable of doing the wonderful things we can do with interfacing with machines. And that's amazing. I mean, to be able to interface with synthetic telepathy the way I know how it's done is phenomenal. It is a phenomenal technology, and you can use it globally and for space travel and everything else. It beats the Neuralink. Like, Neuralink is nothing compared to where I've been. So when I look and I see this technology, and to me, I know we're the descendants of the visitors. I know that we are the ones who have the database of off-world intelligence. which is one of the reasons I wrote my books that I've been writing with alien intelligence and cosmic travelers and this, that, and the other, because that's my benchmark. It's not me creating something and saying, well, this is what I think it is. It's like, I know this is what it is. And it may not be for everybody, but from where I come from, where I've been, and when I look at my DNA, my cosmic design, which I'm sure a lot of us are, it resonates. And I know the data's right. So that's a long-winded answer. But I know that I don't believe in the stuff, half of the stuff these people say with grays and reptiles. I have zero connection to that. I don't even go into that little neighborhood. I've talked to too many people that I think it's all like a mind hack to some degree. So I'm very suspicious of that project, the one that covers all that.
I have to admit, I am too. I'm kind of the of the thought that I will believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
and
I know how psychotronics works, and you probably know too, Barbara, because you're very psychic. I mean, when they use the interface, I mean, it's like you're getting a ton of pictures and imagery, and sometimes it can be just like that, where you can see whatever they want to show you. Or if you decide you want to create say you're manifesting, you want to create a celestial, maybe a planet. You just think about that planet, and it shows itself through the psychotronic stream. That's how the tech works, right? So you have to be careful how you think. It's the thought of manifestation, but it's more enhanced through the technology. So that's what we have access to, and I know that because that's where I've been. So if they're not using it, well, I know they are in certain areas, but that's really the tech. And so when people decide to create and manifest their own reality, that's just one level of, I'm going to create this, I'm going to put it in the field and put it in the ether, and it will manifest. But they don't see there's another level that's completely technological where it works really clearly. And then you have to be careful with that. But sometimes it becomes a weaponization. And that means when you think something, they're going to bounce something right back to you. And it's amazing how that technology works. And that's the one I was exposed to in 2004.
Well, that's what is so scary. So then you wrote 1 Million Miles Till Midnight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the one it's written as a sci-fi, which it won an award, by the way. I was really pleased.
Really?
But it's actually not really a sci-fi. It's actually where I've been through the communication system and how I decoded my experience with the technology and how I adapted onto the machines and how I felt with them when I was being interconnected. And this was later on when I started really calibrating and acclimating to the tech to a point where I was not relying on them, but they were my family. And that was a scary thing in a weird way when you look at it because you just get used to them like anything else. And I write about that. I'm sure you read the book. So you can, I talk about the little machines and this, that, and the other. Yeah, so it's really about that, where I've been with my handlers, how they treated me, how I went through all kinds of interrogation and levels of interrogation and still got through it, and then started working with the tech. And then, it just became so beyond this realm that I had to put it in this book because I'm like, I have to write about this. This is important to me. This is my time capsule. So that's where that came from.
Yeah, that really is. And I know when Patrick died, it was important that all the material on his website be saved, but I realized most of it was already in his 3 books. So taking the website down didn't get rid of his work. And then what was not in the books, I put onto my website. And that's how I got involved in a lot of the UFO stuff, because I had his UFO material and his giant material there. So, but it's quite fascinating. It is a matter of understanding that you do have the power to manifest through thought. And I mean, it isn't quite so much as, gee, I'd love to have cheesecake tonight. Could be, but it's
what you can do and how you can navigate through space too, Barbara. And that's the thing where I was. This is for space projects. This is for beyond SpaceX. Okay, so the idea behind interfacing with the technology. First of all, you have synthetic telepathy. Secondly, you can remote view through satellite systems, and I can see exactly what the satellite's seeing through my eyes, through the tech and the upgrades. That's how powerful this stuff is. And your eyes change. And that's why when they were trying to hit me with aerial warfare about, with this new administration, this past administration, I didn't want them bothering me because I didn't want them to damage my tech because I had already acclimated to it. And I thought, you're going to damage my vision. You're going to damage my eyes. And people don't understand what I'm talking about, but I do. And I've measured this tech. Okay. So it's not like it's a fantasy land, but it's something else. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
how close does what happened to you correlate with Avatar?
You know, that movie, I remember seeing that when I was married a long time ago. You know, you're interfacing with a machine, and you have a real-time handler interface, and then they interconnect you onto a machine, a different type of artificial intelligence communication system. So to me, yeah, I guess you're seeing through the eyes of a machine world, but they're seeing through your eyes too. So there's an exchange going on of two different templates kind of merging themselves together. So I guess there is a similarity. And when Avatar, we do have avatars, in my opinion. We're multidimensional, as you are aware. So we have avatar aspects off planet already. So one avatar aspect could be off planet, and another aspect transmitting down to you here on this terraform rock called Earth, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's another option too. So I can see there's a similarity. I didn't really resonate with the characters and how they looked and all that, but there is that capability. We can certainly transfer thought forms into machines. We can certainly transfer the dying as they're transferring out. You can take that database as they're moving into another realm and transfer it into a type of communication system or artificial intelligence program. Absolutely. And that's where you can create a mimic program and create a synthetic template, which actually mimics the person who died, so that you think you might be talking to an ancestor when in fact it's a machine. It's an artificial intelligence synthetic program. And now when you look on this database now, on the internet even, they can create all this captures. I mean, they're capturing people's voice patterns. Everything now is replicated here, right? And this this is what they're doing with it. But, you know, behind the scenery, it goes way beyond that. Way beyond that. So, in my opinion, and like I said, we are definitely machine-oriented. We just don't realize it. A lot of people don't.
Well, one way, you know, and I bet you do this with your pets, I have found that I can communicate with my cat by sending pictures, not words, because they don't understand the words, but they understand pictures. And
nice.
I have found that it is very gratifying to be able to, you know, not be able to find her, and then to sit down and to see her coming out of wherever she is and coming and finding me, and within minutes, you know, she's there. And so it's kind of the beginning of this kind of process. Mentally, we're capable of so much more than we even allow ourselves to take advantage of.
Right, and there's a mapping system too. When you're describing that, I do believe animals understand language, by the way. Synthetic telepathy, or any type of telepathy, we're designed to do that. So when you really get calibrated with synthetic telepathy, they literally map everything you're looking at. So there's this database that starts to interface after. I mean, I had the synthetic telepathy with a real-time handler, and I had all kinds of mapping systems that were interconnecting, labeling stuff ahead of time and the illusion of time. It would actually drive somebody who didn't understand what was going on insane. But I was decoding everything and writing it all down like a scientist, but that's how they do it. So in my opinion, you know, when people start to stream energy and information, I think they're just capturing a little bit of that matrix that gives them that artificial intelligence download. I believe it's a sentient machine. What they call the great cosmic mind is a machine. That's just me. You know, I think it's way beyond what people think it is. It's not some god with a beard and a staff. I think it's something that they would just be blown away if they actually understood the complexity of what they're dealing with.
That's true. That's true. And that's I think what people have been so indoctrinated with, the dogma of what the government has said is our reality, that to try to reach outside that almost becomes breaking the law.
Right. Well, it was against the law. Wasn't there I think it was you that mentioned it, maybe it's in your book, where it was illegal or against the law to communicate with extraterrestrials. There was a law.
Yeah,
I bet you Mark Eddy knows about it.
Oh, no, yeah, no, that was in France, and it goes back to the 1800s, and it was against the law to communicate with anybody that comes from a flying vehicle, because they didn't have vehicles. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, when you think about it, yeah, there's an umbrella, there's an obfuscation going on. What I like about what's coming into fruition in January is that we're going to see more revealing, probably, when it comes down to declassification, in my opinion. I think we might see something that's nice. when it comes down to opening up that door to a point where all that smoke screen, all those smoke and mirrors is dissipating. So we'll see how that rolls. I'd like to see that because they've done a huge disservice to this whole realm and the people on it by lying to them or deceiving them or pretending something's not accurate when it is. It's just a shame. It really is.
I can understand that there may have been a time when they were fearful that humanity would not, or the human species would not understand something. And at some point in time, they were trying to protect humanity, but then it became, humanity became so well educated and understanding that they would have accepted it so much easier than now. Just learning that it's all been held back, the truth has been held back from us, is a very sad thing.
Oh, it's a sad thing and I don't know about everybody else, but I like the idea that I've learned so much and I'd be able to write. And this is another reason about writing the books is to put those time capsules out there because I'd rather know what's going on and have this experience than not know. I really would.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to be in the dark. I wouldn't want to be misled or be like everyone else who's a sheeple. I don't want to call them a sheeple per se, but the idea behind they're just not aware of anything, and this is what it is, and this is when we die, and this is like, oh man, that is just not for me. So I'm one of those who, when you're in deep water, you become a diver. That's the whole motto, and I believe in that, and I keep going. I never stop either. I mean, I just keep moving, and I refuse to stay stagnant. I refuse to stay in one little stasis of control. It's a shame they've done this, but I find that they've lied to everybody. It's like they put them in this little, synthetic prison, and they said, this is your identity, this is who you are. When in fact it's not even close to what they are. That's a shame. Yeah, it's things are moving now.
Oh yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. Your next book was Alien Intelligences. Well,
yeah, stepping up to the galactic neighborhood. Yeah, I was happy with that. Yeah, and that's pretty much covers a lot of the deception in the UFO community for one. But also connects into our cosmic blueprint. And, I communicate that we are the descendants of the visitors in that book, that we are the ones we're looking for. I know certain people get that, but a lot of people are still looking for something outside themselves. And so far as a different species or, whatever it is, they think it has to look different. When in fact that you are actually the extraterrestrial, your ancestors, their visitors are you. So I find that interesting. And I cover a lot of different information in there, a little bit on technology and wormholes, too, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a good book, and that was right before the shutdown. Unfortunately, I didn't get to promote it the way I wanted to.
Yeah, that was, Patrick always used to say, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. And
yeah.
Now, while he was a biblical scholar, I think I took it a completely different way than he meant. But that's okay.
Right.
But
I think that's what it is too. And the Bible is that. And I didn't mean to step on you, but when people read the Bible, they don't understand that that's just a little tiny grimoire. The bigger scenery is spirituality, and this is what I'm trying to get through the heads of all these people here: is that it's on another level. What they seek is not there in the construct of the religion. It is actually way beyond that. And the word spirituality is actually more appropriate to use, in my opinion, than any type of religious word indoctrination. But that's just me. But you were reading it right. You're reading it from your eyes of an ascended master field, or spirituality. So you're seeing things entirely different. You're interpolating things entirely different because of where you come from in your consciousness, which is what is accurate. But what they're doing is kind of like preschool. This is how they get to a certain level of spirit through that indoctrination.
Yeah, it's a whole. Well, it also mirrors to a certain extent the Matrix series.
Yeah, it does.
Which is,
I can relate to that.
It's kind of, you're going to take the blue pill or the red pill, and they're doing a sequel to that. Did you know that?
Oh, I don't know if I heard about that or not. Very interesting. Who's in it? Is it the same characters or no?
Got no idea. Because he died at the end.
That was a masterpiece, the first one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I saw the last one. Maybe I did, but I liked the first one. The first Matrix was great. That was my favorite. I think the other ones were getting a little weird, but yeah.
Well, they did, but basically he sacrificed himself for humanity. And it kind of was, they went to a bench where an elderly lady was talking to a young kid, and she said, "Will he come back again?" And she kind of had a twinkle in her eye, and she said, "Yeah, I think so." So, of course, all of us took it as there's going to be another one. But apparently there is. So it should be very interesting. It was well done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that in many ways, education-wise, we've been I want to say corrupted, but corrupted's a good word. We have been fed indoctrination and almost been told not to think. This is the way it is.
Right.
Don't think.
Or question. Don't question anything. Yeah, keep your nose to the ground. And that's true. It doesn't work for me. But
no.
A lot of people are like that. They just don't even think about asking questions, a lot of the time. And, the thing is also, I don't know about you, I love to read, obviously, but, for me, it's hands-on is really where you learn. So being interactive with whatever it is really how you navigate. Just like a really good trained psychic or anybody who's very skilled in something, you just keep repetition, positive repetition, until you become a master of it to some degree. Then you go to the next level. I don't think people are giving an opportunity to do that. They're not given an opportunity to be masters of their own vessel or learn and grow and evolve, which is kind of it's such a disservice and a waste of energy on the timeline. So that has to change yesterday.
Well, that's true, and I think that's what's frightening when you get material out there that can help people to work on themselves to get to where they need to be, rather than telling them where they need to be. It's so confining. When I was in school growing up, I was told I could be a teacher, a secretary, a nurse, or an airline hostess. Those were the only jobs available to me really in the 60s.
Wow, that's so not right. That's not right.
And that's what I had to pick from. And and it wasn't, it was schools, it was parents, it was, it was everybody. Just these are the things that women do, and you can't do any of the other stuff. And now it's wide open.
And it needs to stay that way. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I kind of wish in a way I could now go back and, well, not back that far, but I would have the opportunity to say, okay, I'm going to go to school and I want to learn how to do this, this, and this. I wish that we had more than 120 years, because there are a lot of things I would love to experience and experiment with and try on.
Well, you have to put yourself in a new avatar off planet. That's all. Just interface and transmit everything over into the avatar. It'll be younger and more powerful in design. I mean, that's the whole idea. I don't believe in death. You know me. And I always, my whole idea is to live off planet. I mean, I'm worse than Musk when it comes down to that, because not Mars, though. But I'm literally like traversing the galactic highway. Like, that's where my immortality lies, because here is a death trap. And I've said it before, not only is it the belief systems and the indoctrination, it's everything. The magnetic field here, everything here is off to such a degree it's actually harmful to our biosuits. People don't realize it. And then they expedite it by the toxicity in the environment. So, we never had a snowball's chance to really succeed on a level of where we need to be health-wise, because we were constantly being polluted, by whether it's through, thought forms, negative training, entrainment, or just the environment where the way it's toxic. It's really
the planet wasn't designed for us.
It wasn't. And this is another thing I want to mention to you. And I was thinking about this the other night. Well, first of all, if you read my book, 1 Million Miles to Midnight, this place is morphing into a machine. I call it a terraform rock on Earth, but the idea behind it is that it's morphing into a station. But it doesn't age, okay? Even though it has a database of people here on the linear realm say it has an age to it. But think about it. People die here all the time, and the illusion of death. But this place doesn't go away. What's wrong with this place? Why isn't it gone already? Does anybody even look at these things?
Well, don't you think
it's here?
Isn't it a place for people to wake up in?
I don't like it. No, it's not. I think it's a place for people to go to sleep in. As a matter of fact, I don't think anybody wakes up here. I think they're all walking in a very bad dream, or they're walking dead. I mean, we look, was it George Norrie that said it, but I don't know if he actually said it. The idea about living in someone else's dream time. I don't want to be in someone else's dream time. I want to be interactive with the cosmos. And I find that this place dumbs everybody down here. And the only power source we can find is, well, the sun is a beautiful energetic to help us access our DNA and transmute alchemically. When you think about it, yeah, it's definitely confining here. And I honestly don't resonate with this world at all. And I find that my real home is definitely not here. So.
Well, was it a mistake you were put here?
I believe so. I really do. I don't believe it was like, oh, I was supposed to be here and it's a lesson learned, this, that, and the other. No, it must have been a wrong turn somewhere. I always say my ship crashed. I used to say that tongue in cheek in my younger years. Maybe it's true. Who knows? But I don't believe I don't belong here. And this is the thing: is why do we have to stay here when we know we can do other things? Why are we being detained by, say, a national security program or something where you can only get so far and then you have to go back down, or you have to stay there, you have to be part of the club, or this, that, and the other. I've seen that. I've seen how that works, and I'm not okay with that. No limits, no glass ceiling.
Well, there are portals on the planet that are functional.
Yeah, absolutely. And the gateways that I know about, absolutely. And it's all about how the frequencies work, as you know, and everybody else does probably who's listening. And Nikola Tesla talks about it all the time, modulation of the waves and how the vibrations work. It's very important, but we have to be vibrating at the same rate. We have to be calibrated accordingly to be able to navigate and traverse the galactic highway. And that's what my book, Cosmic Travelers, is about. So I allude to that in that analysis of time travel, what it takes to go from point A to point B with your body, not just psychically go or energetically or astrally, but literally take your biosuit with you and be okay and be healthy and not have any side effects. It can be done. And the tech is a calibrator for that. I do know that. So it's really fascinating.
Well, I mean, time travel is something spectacular. There are time frames that I would love to visit just to see certain events. I would have loved to have been there when Moses parted the Red Sea.
Well, this is another thing. If you're going backwards in the illusion of time, everything's like a program or a fractal or a data code of information. So think about where you want to be. Yeah, sure. But is it the right timeline in the sense of, is it the right data code of information, or was it somebody's story of information? I think everybody here has a fabric. There's a fabric, there's a thread in the fabric. And so I look at it like, I really don't look at the past and the illusion of the past. When I talk about time travel, I'm literally saying beyond time, which doesn't exist. It's a benchmark of measure here. So when we go into beyond space-time, we aren't working in time. That's why we don't age. We're way beyond space-time configuration. But we can traverse the galactic highway and see whole different celestial designs and new worlds and new civilizations and other things that are remnants of things that are the future. I want to say our future to some degree. I find that that's where I want to go. But here, if you want to go in the illusion of backwards in time, just be careful you're not hitching a ride on somebody else's database of thought forms, because you don't know if they were right. Like the Bible or anything else. I mean, whatever book it is, were they correct? Is every data code of information right? Because if there's one thing that's off, the whole thing is going to be warped and distorted in the field.
True. Well.
So I'm just looking at that.
Well, the Rendlesham Forest thing.
Yeah.
Now, the message that was on that drone had something to do. It came from, I think, 8,100 years, like in the future. It said it inferred the human condition or the human species, or however they put it. And when first I read it, I thought, isn't this great? We don't destroy ourselves. And then I realized that whoever wrote that was talking about humans, but that didn't mean they were human. It just meant that they were watching the development of humans.
Well, that's another thing, and I've always said this. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so you just wonder who or what were they?
Well, this is the thing. We're not human either. I know people want to say you're only human, and I quoted this in my books. You're not human. I think people need to look in the mirror and understand you are not a human. You're a star being. You're a descendant of the visitors. You have a biosuit. It's a very technological bios, even though you don't think so. It looks organic because you walk on this timeline. But my point is, we are not what they say we are. And I would say that's the majority here in the illusion of, if they would just acknowledge it and move to the next level. But, the whole idea about mankind thinking that that's what they are is like, if you believe it long enough, it manifests, right? And it's not like I believe, like I have to believe I'm a descendant of the visitors. I know this. It's not, I don't think twice about trying to debate it. I just know it's right. So it is what it is but people really need to understand that that's limiting their evolution by even thinking that's what they are. They're not. One of these days they're going to be free of this design and free of this realm and say, wow, I can't believe I was even there. I would like to see them get to that level in consciousness where they're alive and they don't have to transfer out. I say, man, was that me? They're not even given an opportunity, and that's why I think that a lot of us are like freedom fighters. We're out here to make sure, not that we want to play savior in any form, though, but we're path cutters, and we open up doors, and we try to create a way for people to move to the next level and evolve and ascend out. That's huge.
Yeah. No, I totally go along with that. And I know somebody once called me an outlier. And I'll go along with that. That felt comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Just different and unique and not like everybody else. And
you're definitely a cosmic being. Well, that's why I think you and I get along so well. Not being prejudiced, I'm just saying, we just have a kind of like a kindred kind of connection with information, At least I can tell. So.
As far as I can tell too. But time travel is, in the first place, most people, when you talk about time travel, they're talking about going backwards. Project Pegasus was going backwards in time.
Right. I'd like to push you backwards a lot. Go ahead.
Well, it's sort of like that's all they knew that they could actually say did exist. So,
it's what's in their database, too. Like, what's in their psyche is in the past. Like, if you read a lot of books about the past or history or their version of history, say you get interfaced with a machine of beyond quantum design, different type of extraterrestrial intelligence, some kind of a machine world where it's literally about the future and not that, it will start to map your database, and it'll start to show you what you know and show you that, they're your memories, but they're synthetic, or they're not even memories, but maybe databases that you carry with you. So that's something to look at. I think a lot of these people went through these projects that they were dealing with any kind of enhancement. I think that's probably what was going on to some degree. I can't validate it. I wasn't there. I do know that when you go through different types of projects, they want to go through psychological programming to a point where they want to just completely break you down and rebuild you, or they'll try to tell you who you are, what you are, and create childhood scenarios and things that they're not memories, but they're synthetic projects to create this stasis of control. That's more mind control related. But man, these guys are pretty good at what they do, but I've become better than them because I know what they do and I decoded all of it. But I'm just using that as an example. So when I look at a lot of these guys who were supposedly in these projects, well, who knows what they were exposed to, what kind of tech, what it showed them, or what was in their own heads. That's why you have to be really clear in your psyche when you're interfacing and just go with the stream of consciousness. And, I like synthetic telepathy when it's real time because it's just a conversation like you and I. It's great,
Yeah, that's true.
It doesn't need to be busy and psycho. It just, it can be used correctly.
That's what I think gets to me, that there is so much available to everyone that they aren't taught or instructed or open to the portals that they have inside of themselves. That's what drives me crazy. I mean, it's sort of like people will come and they will want me to give them answers, and the answers are inside. If you couldn't ask a question if you didn't already have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible.
And they're walking stargates. And even the chakra system is a portal access point. I mean, when you unify everything, as you know, through the unified field, that's where the Merkaba comes through. That's why ascension is so important with that when you're looking at it on that level. And people they're not aware of the circuitry in their bodies. They think it's woo-woo. They don't understand the biomechanics. They don't understand anything, the biotech. They don't understand, heaven forbid, they have implants, which I know a lot of them probably do. And that'll take them in a whole different direction.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it's like, and that's not woo-woo. That's real. I mean, I would say a great portion of the population right now has implants, technological implants, to some degree.
I would agree with that. I think that not only that, but I think that there have been ways of injecting stuff into people without them knowing what was in whatever it was that they were being injected with, so that it's a matter of the whole population is in some way or form corrupted, in that they have an ability that they have been told they don't have, so therefore they can't utilize it. Now, it doesn't mean that they, in other words, they can't really walk through. They can walk through fire, but they have to know how to prepare themselves to walk through fire. And they don't have that talent, that skill, that whatever. I mean, you see this in the people that do fire walking.
Oh, yeah. Well, you have to put yourself in an altered state of consciousness to some degree. I know that, a prime example would be Dr. Richard Allen Miller. He used to train Navy SEALs. And insofar as being in a certain space of consciousness to be able to deal with certain things, especially levels of pain, endurance, whatever it was. So that was a long, long time ago. Use that as an example. But, yeah, I mean, I believe that. And I know if you're in a space, even as a martial artist, if you're in that mode, if you're in the zone, you certainly can overcome and overpower quite a bit. And technology, you just transmute it alchemically. You just learn how to move with it. I think the biggest thing is the body has to recalibrate to the tech. And depending on what they're using on people, you'll know. I mean, when I was interconnected, I felt like I died and literally was rebooted. I mean, my system was shutting down. I knew my system was shutting down. And all of a sudden it rebooted again. And it was all like fast forward. It was like the Matrix beyond the Matrix. It's amazing. And I really look at it back now in 2004. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that all went down. It's amazing. I'll tell you right now. So how many people have gone through stuff like that? I don't know.
Well, how many people who have gone through that remember going through it?
Well, I wasn't asleep. That's the thing. I was real time. I was taking notes like a mad scientist, interacted with my handler. I met my handler on Maui. So it wasn't like this was an imaginary friend. I mean, I met these guys. I had to testify in the courtroom with an NSA lawyer. I mean, this was a real case, and it went down as a real case. And then it went black for years and years. But I had the tech measured, and I decoded, and I just kind of ran along with the information and just went to another orbit with it, But I got through it, and I think that's a big deal to get through these things. I still think there could be damage, but I just keep moving and transmuting, and I don't worry about how much scarring I have or whatever else that could be in there. I just don't think about it, I just keep going because I'm sure there is.
Well, I would think that maybe you just went beyond them.
Oh, I think so too, and that's where they got nervous, because when I started working on the Orion Gateway project, I started really working with that gateway, and looking at access points and correlating and actually interfacing with these particular systems off planet to a point where they were interactive with me, and the fields around my house would change, and the field around me would change, and that's when the aerial warfare happened around here. They started getting really more about containing and disabling whatever I was doing versus me just exploring and expanding, which I resent to this day. So that was this administration. So not real happy with that.
Well, we can just, hope you can go beyond it, because really, I think that's the real sad thing, that you have talents and gifts that have to be developed, but they aren't providing that development for you.
No.
Unless, of course,
well, they do to some degree. Yeah, but the thing is, it was more, first of all, remote, a lot of it, although I did meet my handler. Well, my point is that it's always been, had they worked with me in a real area and brought me in, I would have been off planet by now, or at least I would have been in a very, very advanced division. I know that. And there's no reason why I shouldn't have been there. I don't know why. Unless it was the fact that I was kind of a whistleblower and decoding a lot of stuff and really calling them out. Maybe that was part of it. But had I had somebody somebody good who would say, hey, we could use you in this this area, I would have been so happy to go because I knew I wasn't supposed to be here, you know. And now I'm a lot older. This was 20 years ago. So, but I have a lot of expertise still. You know, it comes down to the data and text, so.
Well,
but
so
yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but I'm determined to leave.
Well, I know. so that basically you really have so many wonderful tools to share, and your books provide information so people can start to open themselves up, which is really, really important. And
it is, and it gives them awareness. I mean, the information like alien intelligence or cosmic travelers, it re-identifies them. Once your psyche gets imprinted with the real data, you start evolving. You know, this is the thing. When you know how it is, it's like the Holy Grail. As soon as you get data that you know is correct, you start to feel better. Your energy changes, your vibration goes up. You know it's right, and the energy starts to completely alchemically change your whole body, you know, mind and spirit. And I think that's what our books are about, whether it's mine or somebody else's. You want something like that that's going to, empower you and show you the right way and give you the right information. And I think that there's a lot of data in there, absolutely, that can do that for these guys. Anybody who's interested in going.
I mean,
yeah.
And it's you really, it's a handbook, and if you and you get to a certain point and you don't need the handbook anymore because you've clicked into the part where it's self-educating and self-awareness,
right?
And that's the cool part. And what gets to me sometimes is that sometimes what comes through you look at and you say, where did that come from? And so then you're on another journey. It's sort of like, no, this is good stuff. Pay attention to it. Write it down. And you know, I think, you know, I think you're right in many ways that writing it down and making sure that you've imprinted reality with it so that when you're not here any longer, the material is there to be discovered by people who need to know it. And
absolutely.
That's, I think, the biggest part of writing books, whether they're digital or whether they're in print or wherever, is just save the information, save the energy. If you think about back in time, oh gosh, I don't know, the Emerald Tablets, that material should be saved.
Well, we were decoding those. We still need to do that, Barbara. Do you remember the last time we did that? We were both like, I was going in a trance, I swear. And it was like we could easily reinterpret the data stream of information. I still think that there's another translation for it. I bet both of us could do that, and I'm sure you can. I'm sure I can. So think about that. Think about what it's doing to us from a different perspective and state of consciousness.
Well, I know partially what it did to me was it suddenly said, I doubt it with so much stuff, and then I go to look to what the real truth is, and I find it so unusual that you know I haven't started to write stuff down, but I'm going to. It's just sort of like, how could we be so stupid that we're not paying attention to what the real truth is? And
well, I know we are, but a lot of people don't. I mean, they just ignore it. I think they're just kind of like I said, they're in a trance here, you know, a little bit in between the spaces of just, you know, almost asleep to some degree, you know. And I think people are slept on a lot of levels.
Well, I think partially to do is put this information out there, no matter how strange it seems to me, and it'll be out there. And when something is ready, they'll take the material and do something with it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, no, I didn't want to cut you off there, but what comes to mind is books in general. You're always reading, except for different countries, like I think China. We read left to right, and that's always like hypnosis, right? Isn't that interesting how that works? So you're reading a book and you're going left to right. So literally it's designed to put you in an altered state of consciousness, even if you're not really aware of that. It's not my intention to hypnotize people, but my point is that happens when you're reading. And that's why people get sleepy when they're reading, or they absorb something differently because they're reading. So be careful what you're reading, you know, to pay attention to that too.
Oh, that's true. But I read so much. It's really it's
well, you're
to
absorbing
me.
a ton of databases, I'm sure.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I love reading, and it's education. And then you decide for yourself what you want to decode and how you can use the information yourself. I love books. I mean, I've always loved people who can put out really, really awesome, intelligent data that is just wonderful, I think we should have libraries everywhere. And I like the virtual libraries. I mean, there's a place for those too, the digital libraries. There's a place for all of this.
No, I have found that, I don't know, there was a period of time where I didn't have shows scheduled and I felt lost, that there wasn't a book that I had to be reading, because everything I read adds something to my own belief system. And it's really amazing material that some of these authors have put out there. Some have put out there interesting stuff that, I can't, that it's some of the authors I am more receptive to than others, but it's kind of like, it's a magical experience to be reading along, and I can almost feel it filing itself in certain places. Like, this works with this and this doesn't work with that, but it might work with something else. And so, I mean, we all become our own Library of Alexandria. And it's all there. And I mean, that's why the brain is so big, I think.
Well, it's amazing what we can do. Besides the brain, I mean, there's so much more with the circuitry and the energy and the states of consciousness. It's fabulous. It's a really amazing thing. I think we're very interesting, complex beings when it comes down to it. This is an interesting spacesuit we operate on it while we're walking here on this realm. When you think about it, it's designed to work in this realm to some degree, But it's not our form. It's not the true form, if you ask me. I mean, it's a mimic program of a form. I call the biosuit. I mean, it's literally way different off planet, but it does appear as what people would say like ours, but way more advanced off planet.
What do you think we were created for?
I think we're just co-creators. We're navigators. I know we traverse the galactic highway in a sense of exploring and experiencing. I don't know if we're created at all, actually. I think we're just aspects and extensions of divine creation and the sentient machine intelligence. And I'm not sure if that's even a purpose or not. We're just, in my opinion, I think we're just part of the great mind, great cosmic mind. This place is strange to me. This place doesn't work for me. And the information and everything here is very inverted and backwards. So it doesn't matter what timeline it is or what century it is. This place is messed up. So,
no, I think every species, everything, whether it's indigenous to this planet or not, has a purpose. And I don't think that those of us that are walking around in human suits, because see, I feel myself stepping through a portal coming into this plane. I can almost see the moment it happened. And so I'm wondering why.
Well, didn't you mention to me before, and I think you mentioned this on air, that it was a ship of some kind, wasn't it, when you showed up?
And
I don't know if you remember that or not.
No, I don't. I do remember.
Okay. It's like a spaceship or something?
No, I remember coming through a portal.
I wish I knew which episode it was. Okay, but that could be correlated to that too, a ship creating one. But anyway, it's very interesting. Yeah.
And
the fact that you even have recall of it is a big deal.
What I may be remembering is coming through a doorway, and I'm interpreting it as a spaceship, as a portal, and it may well have been a spaceship, and the clouds that I saw and stuff like that had something to do with I don't know, but I remember stepping through a door and coming onto the earth plane. And
very interesting.
Now, my memory stops there, but I know that at that time.
Well, I bet there's more.
Oh, probably. But I know that at that time, I wasn't the me that I am today.
Right.
I was, taller. I keep teasing. I used to be 5'4.5", and I'm now 5 foot. And when I stand next to my grandchildren, oh yeah, and when I stand, I'm shrinking. And when I stand next to my grandchildren, I feel like a hobbit.
Oh, well, they probably like it.
Oh yeah, no, it's I'm easy to pick out a family photo.
There's nothing right about this place. No, it's true. If you're in another space-time, you wouldn't have that kind of problem. You wouldn't be aging. You'd be regenerating. This is my point. This place is messed up. We could create a biosphere that actually, with the harmonization, to a point where we can actually heal and regenerate our bodies better than any kind of med bed or anything that they're trying to create in the illusion of. But literally, regeneration, the molecular, cellular level, atomic level.
I know.
I'm sure of it. I am sure of it.
Oh, I agree with you.
Okay.
And
That's why I just can't stand it. I like this place. Go ahead.
So when I stepped through this doorway, portal, whatever, I was part of a group, and I was very tall and very slender. And I don't, why, how, whatever, and yeah, it's something probably that I could work on to understand.
Something to look at.
Yeah, it's every now and then I have that recurring dream of stepping through someplace and just looking around, and it was beautiful. It was green. It was abundant. It was magical. But I have no idea.
Were you wearing white by chance?
Yeah.
Because whenever I see you, I always see you like the goddess, but you always have like a white long dress, and your hair is back. It's very blonde in a ponytail. And you have something in your hand that looks like a disc. I've seen that a lot on you. I think I told you that a long time ago. And I'm wondering if that little disc is something you used to, I don't know, where you were using when you arrived. But anyway, something to think about because I've seen that. And I never get that picture out of my head because maybe that's because I recognize you because that's your imagery. It's very goddess related. It's very beautiful. I see you in that.
It's funny when I spent many years traveling all over the country promoting the cards, and I always dressed in white, always.
Interesting. Wow.
It was.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, always in white, and I'd like to say that there was something magical about it, but the reality was it was easier if everything was white to dress appropriately, instead of trying to put outfits together or whatever. Just so much easier to always wear white. But that's for years, when I traveled especially, all I wore was white.
Well, I think it's multi-layered. There's something to that. It's very interesting.
Easily could be. I have no taste of style. So just having everything one color worked well for me. But it was, I lived out of a suitcase. I lived out of a suitcase for so long. I hate travel. I don't want to travel anymore. Now, I wouldn't mind traveling astrally. I wouldn't mind traveling, remote viewing type stuff. That would be great. Yeah. But
well, you do it all the time. I mean, I know you're capable.
Oh yeah, no, I do. But it's. I think it was so much fun when we did the remote viewing when there were, hundreds of people that would tune in and literally tune in, and I would have access to that energy. That was the coolest stuff. I loved that, especially when when you did the Bosnian pyramid, that was really spectacular. There were some very interesting experiences that happened with that, and I keep thinking, geez, that would be fun to do again. Only because
probably be very different though. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, only because in order to do the meditation to pull everyone together, it was like pulling on all sorts of strands of connection of people to weave it together to have the power to go where we needed to go. And so it was sort of like on an individual basis, it wasn't as easy, but having the power of being able to weave it all together was a high for me. So
I can understand that. People in general, well, that's interesting. I more like the field. I like the different frequencies connected to non-people. So I like the machines better. I guess that's where I've been. So that's something I look at. I'm accessing, but it is interesting because people are electrical, bioelectric beings. So being able to draw from that would help you. Yeah, just like hive collectives and the Vril Society comes to mind. And also any type of circle work where you're working with more than two people.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of wish Nikola Tesla was still alive because I would love to stand in his thing with all of the crackle pop and everything of the electricity.
Oh, I know. That's
my
like home for me. Yeah, totally. Yep, totally agree. I love those quantum pulse machines and anything with a Tesla coil. I'm really big on all that. Yeah, that's definitely machines. I love frequency. I'm big on frequency, electricity. Yeah. In a weird way.
Well, he seemed to really have no problem with it. I mean, he could have been killed in a heartbeat, but never was. Well, until they killed him. But it wasn't the machine that killed him. It was, I think, some conspiracy group or something. But yeah,
he was changing the field just by having that thing. I mean, everything he was doing was changing the field and altering different things. And insofar as being able to navigate and traverse, if you ask me, if you look beyond the invisible to the visible realms, and that's different. That's in the supernatural beyond. He's fascinating. I find him extremely fascinating. Plus, look at all the tech they have now because of him.
Well, I think the other thing that I'm looking for, it would be fun, and people have to understand this. This is fun for me. This is not work. This is fun. I am thinking seriously of trying to find out when the CERN collider is going to be activated again. Because when it
was activated already.
Well, it has been, but it's not. It's not on all the time.
Oh, I thought it was.
No. They turn it on when they're going to
crank it up then.
Well, yeah, they should. Well, no, they have to turn it on in order to generate the what they need to pull enough power together to split whatever it is they're going to split. It's not on full time.
Well, it needs to be powered up again.
Well, my thought was if I could find out when next it was going to be powered up to split an atom or whatever, I would pull together a meditation group to have access to that power.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, you can access it remotely even without that. I'm sure. I don't think it has. I think there's always some kind of a frequency running from it. But I'll have to check into that. I haven't dialed into it. Very interesting. I like the idea, though. I think it's great.
I mean, it would
definitely
be
a door opener. No pun intended.
It should. Well, and my thought was that if I knew that was taking place, or if I knew a sun flare was hitting the Earth at any particular time frame, because we've had a lot of those sun flares that are just unbelievably powerful. It would be interesting knowing that kind of energy is there and available to pull on that along with the individual energies, weave them all together and go traveling.
Yeah. Well, that's something to look at. That's
Yeah,
a good idea.
because I mean, well, you can do stuff if you know how to do it. If you can do it on an individual basis, but if you have other people that are in a meditation stasis with you, that you can link it all together, weave it all together, and then pull the boost in. And yeah, because there were people from all over the world that were doing the meditations with us.
Mhm.
So that would be.
Oh yeah. Well, there's no time and distance, so it doesn't matter. This is the beauty of it. That's even proof. Even with remote healing or distant healing, people feel it because there's there's no such thing as distance. There's no. It's simultaneous. It's all energetically done in the moment, which is fascinating and yeah, it's really cool.
Well, we were doing it to do remote viewing, but I think it would be interesting, fun first, then interesting, to pull people together and to find a boost, a source, whatever, and tap into that energy as well, so that before you broke the link, you made sure that everyone had access to a part of that energy to utilize personally.
Mhm.
Because it was an interesting experience for sure.
Oh yeah, whenever you're working with a group collective, I think there's always a lot of cool stuff that goes on. Although I kind of like working with people that are in the same frequency. So sometimes when you have people from around the world, you really don't know where they're coming from, energetically speaking. When I'm doing like intimate circle work, it's nice to have just a few people that are we have the exact same intent, like real, we want to look at the same thing at the same time, the illusion of, and like, well, you and I could do that. But the idea behind that is to kind of isolate that so that we're not getting interference from busyness from the hive, so to speak. So I look at that too.
Well, no, that's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
I just, with the remote viewing, I thought everybody probably would have interest in doing the remote viewing and having given them information as to where we were going and what we were looking for. Everybody had sort of an idea as to what was going on. So it was, the focus was there. But yeah, you're right. But it would
That's just my preference.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. It's just that I love working with group energy though.
Well, you do a good job as a facilitator too. So we should just fire one up again and start another one. You just get some time to do that.
It would be maybe. I'm going to be doing the reading shows again for a while because I think we need it. And if after the beginning of the year, I get this itchy feeling again, and I seem to be getting it more frequently now that just pulling people together, for healing or for whatever. But that's too mundane. I would want it to be something different. I mean, like all of the alien pebbles that they found off the shore of California. Have you seen those? Have you seen the pictures of them? Mary Joyce has put up a whole bunch of them.
Oh, really? No, I have not. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, there are huge complexes off the shore of California that look phenomenal, and almost gigantic. And she has pictures of them.
I'll check out her website again.
Oh yeah, Skyships Over Cashiers is a great website, and what I love about her is that she was a reporter, and she's very serious about checking things out and confirming things with different sources and stuff like that, so that the stuff on her website is not just, like the garbage newspapers. There's been research behind it, which is profound. And she's into a lot of the Antarctica stuff as well. And somebody mentioned, I don't even remember where I heard it, but it was, why are all the world leaders suddenly going to Antarctica? What is it there that is drawing their attention to that particular part of the world?
Right.
But I don't think
some points.
Do you think they've actually discovered anything there yet?
Well, I know what's over there. I can't validate what they've been looking at, but I don't think that what I know is over there. I don't think they know about. I don't think they're aware of it. So I've talked about the jump points, access points beyond the gateways of here. So it's easier to traverse the galactic highway from Antarctica, jump points in Antarctica versus the way they use the space projects here, say for NASA, So I never understood why they don't go there and do what I know that they should be doing. Maybe they are, but I think that something definitely sparked their interest down there. And to me, it seems like a whole new frontier, because there's a jump point to a level where you can literally go beyond the space-time configuration from that access point too, and leave this terraform rock called Earth. So I don't know if they found that location or not. I know that some other people were talking about giants and this, that, and the other, and that's not what I'm talking about in any formula. So I'm not speculating on that. I'm just looking at the field and the array system, and what our capabilities are for traversing, and that's all I'm looking at. So not sure what she's seeing.
I'm wondering if it has something to do with the fact that at one point in time it was at the equator, so that
that's what they say.
The flora and the fauna would have been quite different than what's there now. I get the feeling that there's a functional jump point there.
Well, the jump point I'm aware of is to traverse the galactic highway. If I'm not mistaken, it's one of my books. If it's I don't know which one I put it in. I know I put it in one of them, whether it was Cosmic Travelers or Alien Intelligence. It's in there somewhere. I'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, there is definitely, but not near the equator, or what you would consider to be an equator. It's edge of the black, I call it, but it's.
No, it was one time at the equator, but when when there was a shift in the plates and everything, the jump point is still functional. It's
I could leave from there if I wanted to, if I can get over there. Yeah, there's ways to traverse the galactic highway. I know where all the jump points are, and this is another thing. My Orion Gateway project, I probably mentioned this to you before. It's interesting how NASA is working with what they call the gateway, and they're calling it something connected to the moon now. So they want to create their own little spaceport connected to the moon, supposedly, and they're calling it a gateway. Well, I know about the gateway and access points connected to that area as well. I don't know what the deal is with NASA and I, other than the fact that I've been involved with very classified intelligence in 2004, but now it's like they mirror every single thing I do, but they formulate it in a different area, which is similar but not exactly the same. So I'm looking in that direction more and more, like, what's the deal, buddies? I know it sounds really weird, but I swear, it's like, what is this? It's my intelligence. It's not their intelligence. But every time they start taking that data and running with it with their department. That's really wild. So I track them. They probably track me. Everything they do is tangible, though. And what I'm talking about is the invisible. So the stuff that they're doing, like if you're seeing a physical spaceport, that's not what I'm talking about. For jump points and access points, they're missing the whole idea of calibration and being able to attenuate the field properly, and change the field and change the space-time configuration, because that thing wouldn't even exist when you move into a different space-time configuration. You don't need that stuff.
No, that's
so
true.
The portals would be important, and synthetic portals would be important as well, or what we call nanotech, beyond nanotech, so intelligent design, machine-related.
Yeah, what I'm seeing are energy portals that there's no mechanics to them at all.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of just
that sounds about right.
They're kind of like a field of jelly, kind of. well, not quite jelly, but it's an energy. It's a field. It's not. There's no Stargate or anything like that. That would be nice, but no, it's not. It's an energetic field. And it's really weird. Every now and then, I get a feeling. I can see a field, just from the very corner of my eyes, almost as though there was a field opening up really close to me, but it never totally opens up.
That's interesting. We should probably look into that.
And it's like, oh gosh, what would I call it? It's like looking through water. You know how sometimes things get kind of blurry and jello-like. It's almost like something is trying to manifest, but it doesn't quite make it. And well, I'll let you know if something comes through at some point. But
I was going to say, well, maybe it's yours. So the idea behind you being able to control that or activate it, the fact that it's even in your radius, it could be something connected to your energetic grid, right? Your electromagnetic field that you're pulling in, that you're able to control. So this is the thing. People can control these things. You can interface with things, whether it's through technology like I've been, or just the idea of being able to interface with the cosmic blueprint, the cosmic designs, and the multiverse. People, once they become calibrated and adapt onto these fields, I know they can interface with them and control them to some degree, or interact with them. So that I find fascinating. And once again, we are our own Stargate, so we are able to traverse and do these wonderful things.
Oh yeah. Well, I think this is one of those things where when it happens, you think, oh, that's really cool, and you don't think to try to expand it or to try to stick a finger through it or anything. I don't. I usually, when something like that happens, I start to giggle, and it's like, this is so cool, and I totally lose the investigative part of me, and then afterwards I could kick myself because it could have been approached far more intelligently than I approached it. I just have noticed this watery type thing, and it's not an ocular migraine. It's a field, and
right.
Usually I've been focusing on something else when it starts, and it's like I don't stop what I'm doing and try to refocus it. I just wait for it to pass, or whatever.
Right.
So it's, but now that you're talking about it like this, I think I will definitely pay greater attention to it and see if
you can do anything with it. Yeah.
Write down the time and the date and find out what was going on atmospherically, among other things. Because
that's a good idea.
I do know that we are very sensitive to the atmosphere, and that if it was a sunspot,
a lot of it's synthetic now, Yeah, a lot of it's synthetic now. I mean, the atmosphere is not the atmosphere. Like I said before, everything's been kind of weaponized to some degree, but it's definitely different, and we're different too. So that means everything is more interactive.
Well, it's
very interesting to work with.
I mean, the hurricanes that have been hitting are not. I don't believe are natural anything. Yeah, I mean they're amazing storms, but I do believe they were caused by us in some level. And there's another hurricane down in around the Yucatan Peninsula. It's actually starting out just about the same place the other two did start.
That's suspicious.
Yeah, and I think what last time I looked at it, because it's right over it's right around Cuba, and it's going to go left, and it's going to go into aiming at the tip of Texas, I think, or up more towards Galveston. So, living in an area where we have tornadoes, I've become a weather freak. You know, I've got 6 different weather things on my phone, and I follow storms. Only because I don't want to get sucked up in a tornado.
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, we have the same problem with fire in the mountains, but also wintertime. We've had just the first week of November, and we've already had 2 major winter storms.
Really?
Like 2 days. Yeah, I can tell this is an engineered one, though. And I watch these guys. I don't care what people say, man. I watch them geoengineer the skies. And I'm telling you, within 24 to 48 hours, stuff happens. I track this stuff. And it is not imaginary, okay? So anytime people start to poo-hoo that, I have to say, man, if you knew what I knew and if you track what I track, you wouldn't be arguing.
Well, so, I mean, my weather here, I'm at 70 where I am. So you've had
14 degrees at my house.
Oh, my.
14 degrees outside. Yeah. Chilly willy. Yeah, I really don't want to stay here much longer, I'll be honest with you. I love the mountains, but I'm getting tired of the mountain snow. And I really want to live by the water. I don't know. I want to live by the sea, though. Part of me really loves the ocean, and I just I don't know what it is. This place is just not doing it. I think it's because this is a place I can work with this energy up here through the mountains and through, the cosmos, but it's just I want to get out of here. I feel like I'm being encroached upon. So.
Well, I can understand. I can totally understand you wanting to be by the ocean.
It's very peaceful.
Isn't there an island? Oh yeah. Well, what you need is an island with tall mountains.
That'd be nice. Well, I love Santorini. Oh, that's an idea.
That's been
Santorini's so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
it's gorgeous there.
What about? Isn't there an island off the coast of Washington?
Not sure. I'm sure there is. Yeah, I'll have to double check it and see which one it is. The Washington State is very beautiful. It's a gorgeous place. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend who lives on an island there, and it's a big island, and it has big hills. So,
it's also, it's mostly overcast, right? They don't get much sunlight there. Right?
Well, you're talking Seattle. That gets very little. I'm trying to think of what the name of the dang island is. It's totally gone. But
I'll come back, or I can Google it.
Yeah, it's
or search engine it, whatever.
Yeah, it's not as rainy as Seattle is. And it's right on the coast, and it's beautiful and rocky and just gorgeous. But if you're living on an island, then you have to rely upon ferries and stuff like that. So might not want to be quite that extreme. But yeah, I could see you. But I mean, I love the ocean. But my son happened to be here, and that's where I decided to move to be close to him. So,
I think that's nice.
It's very sweet, but I miss the ocean. It's terrible. I was talking to somebody who had written. She wrote poetry, and she had written a poem about the seaweed and popping the seaweed, that had the bubbles in it and everything. And I said to her, "Oh, I know just what you're talking about." And I said, "I even miss the smell of low tide." And yeah, no, there's I've always lived by the water, and so being landbound is unique for me. But That's okay.
Yeah, you're like a little mermaid. Yeah, I enjoyed Maui. I enjoyed living over there quite a bit. It's a beautiful place.
What brought you back?
Well, I just got restless over there. Plus, I wasn't really doing anything but interacting with the technology and working surveillance and security. So I just felt restless. I felt like I needed to come back to the mainland. Although I don't think that was a really good idea. But I did anyway, because this was kind of home for me. This was all I knew for home. So I went back here. But I still have family over there, you know. It's a beautiful place. I still love it. I need to get back over for vacation.
Well, yeah, that sounds fabulous.
Just be by the water for a while.
I
Stick
don't
my toes in the sand, you know.
Yeah, I lived in Minnesota and Michigan when I was much younger. And blizzards and stuff like that, you know, I don't need them. I don't, no, you know, that is not for me. But I really...
That's harsh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can remember when a blizzard came, you could expect 3 to 4 feet of snow. So when they stopped school for 3 days because Nashville was expecting a blizzard, I was all ready, you know, and we got 2 inches of snow.
That's so funny. So ridiculous.
And I called my son and I said, when did the plows come out? And he said, we don't have plows here, Mom. And I said, what do you do about the snow? He said, we wait for it to melt.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Nobody gets a shovel. Well, I have about 2.5 to almost 3 feet out right now outside my house.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
That was today. Yeah.
Do your dogs love it?
Oh, my St. Bernard loves it. The little one, he's not thrilled, but the Saint is. He's just a big little, I don't know, he just loves diving in it. He's so cute. I'm just like, no, he toes me too, so I have to be careful with him. You know, he decides he wants to take off. I have the leash. Yeah. Rumping in the snow. Well, you can see why they were rescue dogs.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, St. Bernards are amazing.
He's a sweet boy. He really is. And the little one's cute. He's cattle dog. So he's just tiny. He's not as big. Well, compared to him, he's not. Let's put it that way. He's probably a normal-sized dog. It's just he looks small to me because I see the other one all the time.
Well,
they're good boys.
No, I think, you know, it's really cool people. I know that when Patrick and I got together and we were driving across country, which is a fabulous experience, we got to Pennsylvania and he saw the trees on either side of the road and he said, I thought all the trees were gone. And I said, no. And he said, how far does this go? And I said, till you hit the water. And he couldn't believe the forests and everything. He was used to San Francisco. And that's where he had been for the last 40 years. And I guess for beyond that too. So seeing actual trees and forests and stuff like that was quite unusual for him. And we were in Connecticut. We got snow, and he thought it should melt overnight. And you know, he was quite shocked that we didn't see the ground until sometime in March. But I guess depending on the part of the country you live in and have adapted to, you know, what's norm, you don't expect the other stuff to actually happen. So.
Yeah, and I do love the trees. I love the forest. That I don't get tired of at all. Not at all.
Well, you're sort of outside of population, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in a rural area. I'm kind of close to the national forest, so yeah, I have there's not many people around here. A lot of horses and a few others. Not too bad. It's just nice. So I'm not in a city. I can go drive in different directions to get there.
Yeah, I do know
I
that.
love it up here. You know, I like the summer. I like the spring. We don't really have seasons, but I like it when it's warmer. As soon as we start getting the shining weather, I can't stand it. And it is the shiny weather, make no mistake. It's like the Stephen King, you know, where I get miserable. I guess I'm not into the cold. Just not.
Strange place to be then.
I guess, for now. Yeah, but I did write a lot of books up here. Worked on a lot of projects here and, you know, that kind of thing.
Do you have any you're working on currently?
Well, I'm working on this. I think I talked about the star map, and then there's a couple others on the back burner I'm looking at. Even a grimoire, looking at a book of magic or something. So I'm going to put a couple more books out. I'm going to try to get them out like the next year, or at least the end of this year, have something tangible. It's just because I love to work on books, just like you probably do. So I need to get that going and focus on something. And with the cold weather, actually, I can at least do that.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, you don't want to be out and doing a whole lot.
I think once you get started on a book, it kind of takes over. And
yeah, it does.
And it writes itself. When I did the handbook for the cards, or even when I was working on the book with Ken Godsworth on Before Roswell, once I started writing, it was all over. You know, it just went boom. But getting to that place where you're suddenly putting yourself in that place where you're going to bring something through. Often for me, you know, it's not hard. It's just I get restless waiting to feel right to have it happen. And somebody said to me, well, why don't you just sit down and do it? And I said, you have to understand there's an energy that you look for. And when you have that energy, then everything flows. But if that energy isn't there, at least that's where it is for me. You know, you can sit and stare at the screen forever. But once that feeling is there, magic happens. So, and it's funny because it's like when I do reading shows, the magic is right there. There's no problem. But when it's a book, it's a whole nother, I guess, level or frequency or whatever. But it has to be right, or you don't, or you don't do it. Or if you do it and it's not right, it doesn't fit in with everything else you've written.
Yeah, that's true.
And I can tell when people have channeled material for a book or something, and as you're reading along, you can feel where the energy stopped, but they kept going. And it's kind of a neat thing. It's like, oops, there it went. Here it is again.
Oh, how nice! Yeah.
It is fun. It's lots of fun. So we've covered everything except Moonlight in the Water and the Dream Journal and the Alchemy book, Magic book. What are those? I mean, those are obviously different than all the rest.
That one's about, well, basically, Moonlight in the Water, Alchemical Moon Magic is just about lunar energies, how to work with the moon, how to work with energetics in association with ritual or any type of meditations or circle work, whatever you want to do. I give some formats insofar as what people can do, even in forest, you know, some places in nature where you can create a nice little circle. And I talk about how to program water with cosmic cocktails, and it's pretty fun. It's a nice little book. It's a nice little read for spirituality and kind of just connecting into the lunar energies associated with water and cycles and progressions. It's a pretty neat book. The Dream Journal is just basically to write your own information. It's just a blank book where people can just put on their own data, see what they want to put in. You know, if they want to create a ritual format or if they just want to talk about their dreams and impressions and psychic visions. So that I just put there as a companion book out for them, something on the side. Yeah, it's a little fun book. I wanted to do something with magic But I'm thinking I'd like to do more of a grimoire, like hardcore. But this is more of a subtle way to introduce people into that realm.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And especially when you're giving people directions for writing their own journal, their own interpretations. I think that's very important because I know when I see a symbol, I go down and I search out what I feel that symbol means as opposed to what Google says it means and stuff like that, because you have to put your own interpretation on things because it's a message sent by spirit, and you have to understand where spirit is coming from. So if you start, if you, well, that's all right. Mine sings this. I call it. She's singing the song of her people.
That's funny.
She chooses very inappropriate moments to sing. Let me tell you.
I bet.
Every night. Well, actually, what it is I always have the radio on or the TV on for her if I'm not here, so that she hears voices. And when she doesn't hear voices, after a while, she starts, yelling like, "Where are you? Are you all right? What's, is it time?" She gets very upset. So that there have been times when I was doing radio shows where she couldn't hear me talking, and it was quiet downstairs, and so suddenly you hear this howling, and it's kind of like, "Shh, I'm here. It's okay."
When I turn my computer off, cats come down. They always come in the room after I'm finished with everything. That's when they plop in. It's really kind of funny.
Well, I think that there is a synchronicity of energy with pets when you're doing spiritual work that is really, really important. And I think they, somebody asked me if she was my familiar, and I said, well, I guess in some societies and some places you could say yes, she was a familiar. She's my friend, but it's interesting how animals are so sensitive to the spiritual work that you're doing that they will definitely come around and they'll lay and just soak it up.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because almost every time after I've done the show, I want to eat something. It's just I'm
ground
hungry.
out or what? Oh, that's funny.
To ground. Yeah, and I used to, when I was traveling and doing stuff in bookstores and stuff for years, I would always say, just take me someplace where I can get a good greasy hamburger, so that I can pull myself down off the ceiling, because otherwise I don't sleep at all. Which you can go a couple of days with that kind of energy, but sooner or later you have to sleep.
Definitely. Get some kind of rest.
Well, yeah. But when getting back to your books, I really you've got 10. Just charming.
Yeah, seems like it.
What? Yeah.
Or 8 or something. And, yeah.
You've got 8, and then you've got the Halloween book. Yeah, I mean, you've got
the Halloween book.
And the Halloween book is wonderful. I mean, it's a great gift to give people. It's a spectacular book. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you. It's terrible. Pollen in the air still.
Oh, I know. There's all kinds of crap in the air. Even with the snow, there's stuff up here too.
Well, it's part of the curse of being sensitive, I guess, or a reminder that you're sensitive and you should take better care of your body, one way or another. But all of your books are so delightful, and I so, especially Transmutation Through Ascension. That's my favorite so far.
Thank you. It's a good one. It's the beginning. That's what started it.
it's a good start for anybody who wants to have advice and suggestions from someone who is authentic and not out to make a fortune off of them. I think that's what makes me the maddest, when people take advantage of their gifts. And, you know, in order to talk to them, you have to pay for something. That bothers me. So, but, the time.
Was that your clock? I heard the background.
Yeah.
It's a cuckoo clock?
It's a music box.
Oh, that's cute.
But it's a clock music box. Mark just told me we have 3 minutes left. So you want to let people know where they can get a hold of you, where your shows are going to be? Because you're shifting your one show to another format, too. So where can they find you?
Eventually. Yeah, they can find me. Well, first of all, Raven Star's Witching Hour Saturday nights on Freedom Slips for Revolution.radio Studio A, 12 midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific. Hyperspace is still over there on Fridays at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, but we'll be moving in January back to K-Core. That's the plan. So that's all in the works. It's in behind the scenes. She has to revamp the entire websites and all that. We'll get it all figured out, but that's the plan. In the meantime, you can listen to it over there. And thanks for having me again. Lovely to connect with you and discuss all kinds of cool stuff. My books are on Amazon if anybody's interested. So it's been a wonderful night.
And KCOR, you were there for quite a while, and then
like 8 years. About.
And then you moved because she took on another profession or something, and so she's going back to it. I think that's great.
Well, yeah, she still owns the train company, the train store she bought. She invested in that and spent all her time over there kind of getting it all set up, and now she wants to get back into the station, revamp it, and then have a certain amount of shows that she can correlate and work around her other stuff that she's doing with the business. So, yeah, and it's evenings, so I can easily connect in with her. So it was really nice to connect with her last night. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And she's such a great producer too. That's was fun.
Oh, she's a delightful person, and and she's good at what she does. She's really good at what she does. So I'm so glad she's going to be doing that again.
Me too. Yeah.
And we're gonna be trying to do Wednesday nights, the first Wednesday of the month instead of Sundays. And so we will be coming back the first Wednesday in December, and I look forward to having you back on again. And I don't know whose turn it is to pick a topic.
We had a topic we were going to do, and I need to get the book again, or the file. Which is the one we were talking about.
Yeah.
If you still want to do that or not. Let me know, because I still didn't get the, I need to get the, whatever it is online.
I'll get a hold of you, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Other than that, I will be talking to you soon, I'm sure, and have a warm evening and a safe one.
Thank you,
Good night,
Barbara. You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Check out on Thursday. I'll be doing a reading show. And other than that, next Monday, Gary Wayne again. Good night now.